Today I'm doing a review of Olay Pro X Spot Fading Treatment. Just for a little comparison, I wanted to also briefly talk about the Clinique Even Better Dark Spot Corrector. I used this Clinique product, which was not cheap, for a year or just over a year, and I saw almost no reduction in my dark spots. I have most of my dark spots on this side of my face, very little on this side. I used this for, like I said, about a year. I saw no reduction. The only thing it did is the worst spot that was right here, it sort of exploded it so that now it's bigger and blotchier. In contrast, where I used this for over a year, I've only used this for a couple of weeks, and I started to see a difference within, I would say, the first week. I have on my hand, I have two spots that are right next to each other, and they were approximately the same darkness and the same size. This one and this one. And I don't know how it's going to appear on camera, but this one is substantially lighter than this one, and that's because that's where I've been using, you know, you're supposed to put a couple of droppers on your hand and then apply it to your face. And that's where I've been choosing to put it to see if I could then see a difference between the two spots. And I have seen a huge difference. So here's what it looks like. Comes in a little glass dropper. And it's a very light texture. What they say to do is put a couple of drops, I think they said 3 or so drops. It's fairly thin. It's, I would say, thinner than the average serum, but very easy to apply. Does not bother my skin, and I have sensitive skin. Does not bother my skin at all. You will read some reviews from people who said otherwise, and you know, maybe they are allergic to some particular ingredient or whatever, but I have sensitive skin and I have dry skin, and I have not had a problem at all in terms of it bothering me. I am very, very fragrance sensitive, and I can put this right up to my nose and I don't smell anything. So what I do is I put a couple of drops on the back of my hand, and then I dab onto my spots. Now, you have to follow this up with, you know, moisturizer and with a sunscreen. And I've noticed that I've been to the beach a couple of times in the last 2 weeks, and even though I do wear an Olay moisturizer with an SPF 15, I'm finding that's just not enough. I'm going to have to go up to a higher sunscreen, something like L to MD, something like that, because I'm finding that it's hard for me to see the results on my face. I put this on my spots. I try to do something else for a minute or so, like brush my teeth or put on some makeup or something, and then I put my moisturizer over top of it. And I'm finding that it's working better on my hand than on my face, and I'm thinking that's because that this part on my hand where I've used to dab on doesn't get anything put over top of it right away. I do use hand lotion before I walk out the door, but you know, in AMs and PMs, I don't always put something on my hand, whereas I almost always put something on my face. So I'm going to use a makeup remover pad here to take off my blush, and hopefully you'll be able to see that I have spots pretty much right down almost my cheekbone, and kind of ending with this big blotchy one, which had been my biggest spot, and that's the only thing the Clinique did, is it started to break it up. So yes, there has been some improvement. This side, where the spots are much smaller and much less, the Olay has really done a nice job. I'm hardly noticing those now, even when I don't have any powder on or concealer or anything. I hardly noticed them, but those were smaller ones. These are all relatively large, especially this one right here. And so what I do is supposed to be used in the morning and the evening on a clean face. I take my little dab down here on my hand. I dab it onto my spots. I rub it in pretty good. And I just move all over my face doing that. And then, like I said, I try to let it dry and wait a minute or so. I think that's the best way to go at it, is to wait even 5 minutes if you can between the application of the Olay Pro X and the application of whatever sunscreen, makeup, or whatever you're going to put on afterwards. Because I really think that's the difference. I mean, my hands get sun every day without sunscreen, and my face gets sun every day with sunscreen. So that's why I'm not understanding why it seems to be working so much better on my hand than on my face. So I really, really like it. I think that if I was to use this for a year or more, like I did with the Clinique, that I would definitely be seeing some, noticeable results. Right now, I can notice a huge difference on these two spots on my hand, one treated, one not treated. On my face, I'm seeing some improvement over here with my finer spots, not so much over here with my bigger spots. But it's been, I'm thinking 2 to 3 weeks that I've been using it. So, that's not long for this kind of a thing. And also, I don't notice it to be drying. It does, once it dries, and before you put any moisturizer or anything over it, it does sometimes have sort of a tacky feel. But otherwise, and it dries relatively quickly, which I really like, so that if I'm in a hurry, I have to stand around and kill time while I'm waiting for it to dry. This is a 1.3 fluid ounce bottle. It says treat skin morning and night by dispensing 2 to 4 pearl-sized drops of product into the palm of your hand. I use the back of my hand because I wanted to test it on those spots. And applying evenly on areas of discoloration such as sunspots and dark patches. And it is supposed to be doing some micro exfoliation. I also use a Buff Puff in the shower about every 3rd day to exfoliate my face. And I thought that would be helping the process along, but I don't know. I don't ever exfoliate my hand, and yet my hand is the thing that's fading, and the spots on my face are not so much. So that's my review of Olay Pro X Spot Fading Treatment.